While we're waiting on my PowerPoint to start, I can just start with the conversation I had with Tanika Howe, joined her team. I back in 2012, about 26, 27 years old, shot up corporate ladder. Pretty much was working in sales and marketing, some hit town company way out in Boondocks, Kansas. And just realized being the youngest, being the only Black, that I'm just too much stress. I can't do it. I had friends relative that was in property management, part-time job, was kind of like a manager of a concierge building, event space. So I said, you know what, I'll just jump into property management. So what I'm doing is I'm unpacking my desk while I'm going on interviews. What I learned about property management is a chicken and egg situation. You gotta have experience to get in property management. You have experience in a job. So by my 12th interview with these corporate property management companies, this is done. I'm not gonna keep going around in the same circle trying to interview for a leasing job to get to a property management job. That's where they want you to start. They want you to do stuff that nobody else wants to do, which is go and show and deal with people every day. What I did was jumped off the corporate route trying to find the job and went to Craigslist. Somebody told me to check on Craigslist for a job. Found an investor. He is not even a U.S. citizen and was buying several hundred properties a month in Kansas City. And of course, he's one of those investors that came around for the 2008 crash and was just scooping them up. And so he said, they're basically somebody to take on the lease and stuff. And so interviewed him that day. By the end of that, after the interviews, I went back to the job, on my lunch break with the corporate job. The offered me the job. It was 100% commission based, but he was promising me I could lease 30 houses a month with at that time, a flat fee commission about $350 per house. And all I'm doing is opening doors, showing them, taking apps, and then passing it on. So got back to work, boss said something crazy to me, had to my stuff and walked out. I'm here, let's get started. Yeah, he started that day. By the next day, I'm with his other partner, who was the one out in the field showing the houses. And he took me on our first Section 8 inspection. So the property's already leased, got to do that whole Section 8 inspection part of it. Watched that process. By the next hour, he said, go to this house. Somebody's there waiting on you to see the property. Okay. First experience ever showing property. So I'm like, well, this is the living room. This is the bathroom. That's the kitchen. So let me know what you want to do. And she's Section 8. That was his strategy. Section 8. All we wanted Section 8 vouchers the whole time. So this is in October 2012, when I quit my corporate job. By the end of the month, I doubled what I was making for my corporate job, because we were leasing that many houses that month. And it got to a point where he didn't need nobody else as far as leasing, because I did. And again, this would be a straight commission at that point. So that's all I did. Also around this time, I had revealed to him I'm 8 weeks pregnant. So he got that drop look. So you knew before? No, I didn't know, but you know how that works. And so it was then that situation where even more so now I have to hustle up, because in his mind, I'm already seeing him trying to replace him already. Yeah, so what ended up happening is, ended up becoming, even grew up with more than strictly leasing. You could try to hire people, kind of keep up with the inventory. They couldn't keep up. And it got to a point where we got so big, it took him from, when he had at the time about 500 doors to 1,000. Then he jumped up into multifamily at the time. And I'm already at this point exhausted, because also we experience those types of investors, they're slumlords. So what he didn't realize is I live in the same community where these houses from. So I'm at the grocery store running to the tenant, I just use the house and the toilet still not fixed. So I'm done. Like I'm not doing this with you. So he said, I went to the team, blah, go get your license. I have no idea. Real estate license. I'm like, cool, get a real estate license, blah, blah, I'm in class. And the teacher goes, these are the type of things you have the license to do. Sell real estate, lease real estate. And the fine is $2,500 per transaction that you got. Mind you, he's also having to sign these leases. Sign the leases at this name. I'm signing. Oh, I love some more. You set me up. That's what you said. Yeah. So, and also at this time, I didn't know you had to have a broker when you get a real estate license. I'm thinking I'm licensed, I'm ready to go. And so had a conversation with the teacher, like, what do I do? He said, give me a call for them. That's what the teacher said. He said, it's your bread and butter, you do it now, but slow it down and then start finding a broker. Also around this time, because again, he's also not the only person I'm working with. I branched out to other owners, because again, I'm 299 for them. I'm not stuck with just him. So I branched out to other owners. He was working with another property management company who also did not know that she had the license to lease real estate. And that owner told me about me. She said, if I ever was to start over property management, I would work with you. And so she gave me a number, grew up, had a phone conversation with. That's how I started with the property management company, Church and City Property Management. So, yes. And also, I was also selling real estate for the same investor in Kansas City and St. Louis as well, unlicensed. And experiences. It's the experiences that I learned that I had to share this with people. I know I'm not the only one doing it. And then even more so now, that $1.4 million deal, that was his properties. Yeah, so it came back to this. I got my money back. You confident. All right, so what I want to do more so is go over kind of the secrets in property management. I know we're all family here. Some of you guys who was already in the boot camp, so I'm not going to go in as detailed as I normally do with the boot camp, but I want to share more with you is the secrets of operating your own property management company. As I'm going more and more into these circles with other property management owners, nobody like you guys are in that room. Older white men are the ones owning the companies, and then they hire us to do the work and following their policies on getting it done. And what I'm finding is that's why you're seeing so many issues with affordable housing, with basically Black and brown people being shut out of certain rental communities because we're following their policies on who qualifies for the unit. We're following their policies on how rent is paid, when rent is paid, and then their forms of contracts on how to get this done. When that's not the Bible in property management. There is no Bible in property management. You basically set your rules and your policies the way you want to operate your business. And so that's what I'm going to go over while also skimming through the type of slides that you'll see in the property management boot camp. So the objectives with the boot camp is, again, understanding the importance of your contracts and your policies when doing property management and your procedures. Those are the blueprints and the outlines of how you're going to operate your company. And so if your policies kind of reflect what you're doing, if it does come where you're getting some type of violation, well, this is what's in my policy. This is how we operate. I don't, deviate from that too much. And even if I do, this is the step I took to make that decision based off of your procedures. Resources. A lot of times, everybody says property management is a headache. Yes, it is if you allow it to be, because you don't have the tools and the resources to allow you to streamline your efforts and automate your work. A lot of things can be automated. Pretty much the majority of property management businesses can be automated if you understand, again, your policy and procedures, hire the right people to do it, and have the right system in place. In addition, if management fees is the only way you're making money, you're doing it wrong. If the only thing you're charging owners and tenants is just the one fee, you're doing it wrong. There's multiple profit centers to basically help you increase your profit margins for yourself personally. And then, again, being able to identify what tasks and procedures you can automate and streamline or outsource to other people. Okay. So again, my experiences. That was one experience on how I got started. Then there's experience of what I encountered while in the world of property management. This one up here with the Jayhawk in front, that was an eviction. Now I've been in the armored trial. I've been in 2 SWAT situations, standoffs with SWAT, with tenants basically not want to leave. But this was the Jayhawk on the wall. That tenant had to be executed by SWAT in order to leave that place. This was 2015. He basically bogarted his way in this unit. The owner wanted his property back. Owner had spent $60,000 on the property for 40. And couldn't sell it, was upside down, but wanted it back so he could lease it back. So we went through every possible method to get him out, turn the water off, turn the electricity off, had it condemned by the city. He's not leaving. Went through the proper eviction channels. He basically told SWAT, I have grenades, I have AK-47s, I have all that in this unit, and I will use them on you guys. So we're told by, Sheriff, back on up. That's why I learned don't park in front of the house in evictions. We will learn that. Do not park in front of the house if they get ugly. Park around the corner, but more so for me, don't go. If it gets to a point where I have to set you out, you're not something wrong with you. Because you know, especially in Missouri, that you're about to be evicted. If you're still in that property at the day the sheriff is there, something wrong up here, my staff is not going to be there. We're going to leave that to the sheriff and the set out crews, the trash out people. So yeah, we started at 9 a.m. this morning. Jeff at the time was my rehab crew, so we both stuck till 10 o'clock that night. Our cars parked out there at night, and we heard the 3 shots that executed him. It was a mental health issue. He had accidentally killed his twin brother in that house. That's why he was stuck. Got out of prison and just set up shop with him. Yeah. No, didn't have anything in there. The other one down here at the bottom, right, that is a fire damage unit. That is actually my office. I left office at 5, got a call at 6 that my office is on fire during rent week. That somebody had went through the drop box, lighter fluid in a match. Now I just left 5, so I got all the rents that was supposed to be counted anyway. So but yeah, so entire office on fire. This is that apartment. That's why I don't do drop boxes at my office anymore. You're not to get direct access into my office without appointment. So getting the experiences remind you of always to have policies and procedures to keep them updated to help you prepare or be able to streamline when things pop up. Okay, so so a little bit about me, story on how I got started. Right now, I'm all about partnerships. As Speaker mentioned, I co-own Trade KC Property Management Group. That's our property management entity. I also co-own Iron Door Property Management Group. That's the other guy that I was originally working with. Me and him co-own that management company where we're managing 1,500 units. He does the large apartments. So when I get referrals from 25 doors or more, I just send them over to him and he pays me as his business development person and broker. And then the single family houses, little duplexes, small like that, we manage it on our end. I'm also currently the chapter president of the National Association of Residential Property Managers. If you're not familiar with NARPM and you're definitely going to property management on the smaller end scale, definitely encourage you to join that organization or that group in that chapter. Majority of the information that I've learned through that group. You'll be surprised that even people in the room that don't look like you, when they understand that you're part of this family, they start sharing everything about what they do. And then also a board member of Landlords Incorporated, a local landlord group with us. I also manage a sales team. So again, with niches, to me, they had to allow me to master property management and had confidence in me to be able to do that before I was able to start jumping over into the sales side. And once I got an understanding, I was able to make the connection on property management and sales and how I can gain leads and do transactions from them both. I now manage the team there and also have my own team with the Wright group. I also have my HCCP, which is your accredited certified professional. I can manage tax credit properties. I can also develop tax credit properties. And then, of course, wife, mother of 2, and aspiring beach bum. I'm looking for condos on the beach. That's my out. Cool. So, purpose of this presentation, we're mostly going to talk about residential property management. Of course, residential is just one area of property management. You have commercial, you have rural, you have industrial. Just really depends on what your expertise and what your niche is. But even within residential, there's even a niche within that. Forbes in 2017 estimated the property management industry is about $73 billion. That was in 2017. Imagine what it is in 2021 forward, when people are being set up to rent forever. Okay, so definitely want you guys to think about that as at least an opportunity for you to make money in the industry. You don't have to have a bunch of doors. You don't have to do all the services. There's somewhere in property management you can be making money. Now the types, of course, even within residential, you have your single family houses, you have your apartments, you have aging facilities, you have, what else we have? We have short-term rentals, the Airbnbs that you can be doing in that industry, the nursing home facilities, mobile home parks. Like I mentioned, there's, even within residential, it's a niche of area of focus that you do. Condo association management, condos themselves, homeowners association. Even some of these rental complex subdivisions that they're creating, developers creating, somebody has to manage that subdivision within that complex, within that area, there's an HOA on it. So just some areas to consider. And then the classes. I'm sure as investors you understand A class, B class, C class. Same thing can be applied to residential property management, where your A class, your luxury units. That's the fancy condos with the views, they need management. Then you have your B class, your workforce people, where we need more of the workforce housing, your middle class, and then C and Ds are typically your affordable housing, low income areas. I can tell you most property managers want B class. That's why I went for C. When I manage, everybody knows me to be C class. I have no problem with Section 8. Love it. I don't have a problem with it. I'll do Section 8. A class is a little different for me. There's only sense of entitlement I can't do for certain people. So I realize that A class properties are not my thing. C class is what, C and B class is what I'm more used to, more comfortable with. And so you'll find which class works best for you. Again, the industry growth, another 10% by 2026. So again, lots of opportunities. The biggest thing that you must learn in property management are the rules and regulations, the compliance. Once you figure out the rules, then you learn to do your dance in property management. Because there's federal, your state, and then your local municipality, which all have rules. And we found during COVID, none of them really agree. They all keep adding something extra to them to make it make sense for them. Like even for Kansas City, they did the whole thing of the rental home inspections that they had to do, then added application fees and permit fees on top of that, and then even added extra protected, or tried to add extra protected class. I believe in Atlanta, now it's Section 8 is now a protected class. And so do some of these landlords know this? No. So they're just operating just because, or illegally. They don't understand the local municipality. So that's the way to jump in. And then the services, traditional services for property management is going to be your collections and evictions. Accounting is a big one, especially that co-mingling and trust fund accounting. Your maintenance and repairs, and of course your leasing. I can tell you all of these can be automated. All those services can be automated, and there's tools and resources out there to do so. All right. Of course, when jumping into property management, you're going to be aware of what you don't know. Some questions to think about when jumping in, as far as how you're going to collect the rents. Again, that's an important service. How are you going to do that? What type of insurances you're going to need. The most common one is D&O, errors and omissions, which is expensive, but want to think about having that. What agreements are you going to need? I can tell you're going to need at least 3. We'll go over those. The management agreement, number 1. The lease agreement, number 2, and your vendor agreement. Who is going to do your repairs? In all honesty, property management and maintenance management is 2 different companies. And it's possible if you don't both. So be aware of that. Yeah, it's a management agreement, leasing agreement, and your vendor agreement. And then what type of trainings do you need to always have on your belt? Because again, it changes every day. And what we learned in the property management world during COVID, it can change every minute. We were literally, some of us on the government affairs and legal teams in NARPA was on the edge of our seats trying to see, and we're still on the edge of seats what we're going to do, what they're going to do with the CDC, which moratorium. They told us March was it, and then we heard June. And then I was on a call with Congressman Cleaver, was now over the housing division, and he slipped up and said September. And so what are we to do as property managers in that aspect? And then even more so considering that, think about my Dallas, Texas people. Imagine the hard time your property managers have when they have their heart disease. And people are first-time renters on the phone crying. They don't know what to do. You know, they lost everything. And even to this day, they're still cleaning it up. Where are they going?
Yeah. Any questions? That they heard that the state is releasing more money at this month. For the state, not the company that the state said, June or September. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, exactly. When your feds and your state don't agree, who trumps who? And are you willing to play that game? Because at the end of the day, anybody can sue you for anything. It depends on how far they want to take it up the court system. State court might say that's our rule, but if they take it up federal said we still want more to it. Taking a chance on if you go that route. Now evictions are handled on a state level. So if the whole goal is to get somebody out, hit a dance, but you better have your documentation of proof of why you did that and be ready to dispute it in federal courts. That's why you need to know. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So biggest thing with compliance, which you often hear, do you need a real estate license to engage in property management? I'm going to say yes. Yes, you do. But there are 6 states in which you don't. You see them up here, but Kansas is residential only. So if you border any of these states and you're not licensed or you're just a licensed agent and not a broker, the thing is broker. You have to be a broker to do property management. If you're just a licensed agent, you're bordering any of these states, I encourage you to at least find out their rules and get started there while you work your way up to become a broker to be able to, or partner with a broker. Now, note, you do not have to own the management company to, you don't have to be a broker to own the management company, but whoever signed your leases should be a broker. Tip in between that, if you're on payroll for the owner or the broker and you're signing leases, that's fine. So in the instance with the guy I was working before, had he put me on payroll, I wouldn't have had to go get my license. It's when you're doing an independent contractor. Huh? Oh, Idaho, Kansas, residential only, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont. Now, there's another set of states here that you don't need a broker's license. They do want you to have a property manager's license. BC, Montana, Oregon, South Carolina, and South Dakota. Not so much a real estate broker's license. They do want you to have property manager's license. And we can look for over the next couple of years that they're going to require, all these states are going to require something in property management because it's a mess right now. Yeah. Grab some. Now going over the laws really quick. Fair housing is number one. Everybody in here should understand fair housing. Tidbit on that, you always hear the rule of what you do for one, you do for all. No, you don't. No, you don't, because that's where you fall into the disparate impact or desperate impact. You might start to hear that more coming up here soon, but it's basically saying that if you have a blanket policy that unintentionally discriminates against a specific group, you can be sued for fair housing and lose. Example, felons. It was a whole big thing. Is felons a protected class now? Is it not? No, it's not a protected class, but if you have a policy that says I do not accept felons at all, and we know kind of the state of this country when it comes to convictions, how certain Black and brown people got a higher conviction than others, you're discriminating against a particular race when you say no felons at all, especially if the felony was minor, drunk driving. That has nothing to do with housing. How come they can't? So you have to be able to understand that and know how to play that dance and create your policies on the procedures. That's your question. ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. That's another one where, again, you learn the dance, you can create the policies, but big one is these dang on emotional support animals. It is getting ridiculous out here with it. Like, everybody can have one. And even they're creating the registrations online that is so simple to get. You can peacocks, crazy animals. We're not doing that. We're not doing the unit. But You can't ask what the disability is. You can't ask why you have it, but I want proof. Give me that doctor's note. I don't want the registration card with a little dog or ferret or guinea pig on it. I want that. Give me your doctor's note. I want the doctor to tell me, yes, it was okay for her to have this pit bull in this 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah. Then the other thing too is the wheelchair ramps, the grab bars, reasonable accommodations. As a property manager owner, again, look at your local municipality though, but as a property manager owner, I don't have to build that. You can do it, but I don't have to build it. That's on your expense. That's what federal says. Now, wide the doorway, that's not reasonable. That's structure. So I can't do that. But if you need a ramp going in, you're more than welcome to do it, but at your own expense. And that's even on apartments. If your apartment complex you manage does not have the rent going up, the tenant can add it, but at their own expense. Equal Credit Opportunity Act, that's basically saying if you're running credit reports, same situation, you can't discriminate based on who's on the credit report. Everybody has an equal opportunity to be able to be extended credit to be able to rent your unit. Also with that, they include in there is the no discrimination advertisement. So I see that a lot. This home is perfect for a family. Familial status, it's a fair house. It's a good Christian home. Religion, can't do that on your advertising, so be mindful of that. Lead-based paint, we talked about lead-based paint with the flipping opportunities. Pretty much the rule of thumb, 10 by 10. If you're having to repaint any wall by 10 by 10, you want to make sure your painters are certified for lead-based paint. Trick on that, most property managers get certified themselves. Because it's cheaper to hire the little painter, they'll paint this wall real quick, just make great. And no, they're not certified, they're not even licensed. But I have the certification. I can watch and make sure he's properly put the plastic down, that kind of stuff. So mindful of that. Megan's Law, as you're dealing with sex offenders and access to the homes, and then Protected Tenants at Foreclosure Act. I think we're going to see this come up again really soon once these moratoriums is over. Or the landlords are, have these mortgages and behind on their mortgage. 2018, that administration extended that forever, basically. So what this means is that that tenant has the right to stay in their home 60 days after somebody purchased it. And I believe it's actually 90 days. So the state says 30, but this act says because this house is foreclosed on, they have the right to stay there for another 90 days. And then, so be mindful of that with your owners when you purchase these. Then if it was a Section 8 tenant in there, you have to take over that contract. So if you bought this house with the intention of flipping it, and it has tenants in it, and it was foreclosed, if you bought it for foreclosure, you can't just put them out. So work that in your numbers. 5-6 months, add that in there. Yeah.
The Equal Credit Opportunity Act
not so much credit, but you can't deny extension of credit, or the reason you're denying for credit can't be something related to one of the fair housing protected classes. It's one of the things I learned to dance. You know how it's certain things you can find in somebody's credit report where you got to get an idea of the type of person they are. So they got, charge up on children's place, a bill on their credit. Oh, they have kids. We don't want kids. That kind of thing. See, that's, yeah. Yeah. No. And that's how you get around that, is setting those limits on credit, because you can't say, well, both people came in, applied for the unit, they both had a 550 credit score. But you give this one preference. You better explain that preference if the whole only thing you looked at was the credit report. The other three things to be mindful of: cybersecurity. Everything's going online. You want to make sure you have the protections online in your cloud-based systems, because you are dealing with tenant-sensitive information. Social security numbers, bank accounts, how they're paying their rents online. If you're allowed to do that, whatever system you use, you want to make sure it's protected. And again, more so during that pandemic when everybody's working from home, is their Wi-Fi internet protected when they're logging into these cloud-based systems? So VPNs, whenever you're using Wi-Fi, cloud-based systems. Internal Revenue Service, don't mess with the IRS. So, number one, anybody you're collecting rent for, you must send out a 1099 on time. Send them the 1099 from you as a company. So company, XYZ Realty, I'm managing their properties, we're getting a 1099. You have an owner that says, oh, I don't want a 1099. No, that's not an option. That's not an option because I'm obligated to report the income you're receiving off your properties to the IRS. The other thing too is your vendors. Before you pay them a check, you better make sure you have a updated and accurate W-9 from them. Anybody that does more than $600 of work in a year must get a 1099 as well. And if you're using somebody that, off the books, don't have a social security number, you better find a workaround on that. And that's where it will come in if you help in a sense of internal in-house maintenance. And then the trust accounting. No commingling of funds. So if I'm collecting rents and I'm charging management fees, where are those fees going? It's a whole nother account. The same account that you're collecting rents in should not be the same account you're paying your people, your payroll out of. It should not be your same operationals account. You should be writing yourself a check from that account for your management fees and services. So I usually recommend that you have at least 3 accounts. Because also don't forget security deposits. They should be in their own separate escrow and trust account. So you got escrow, you got your rents, your operations, and your operations account for you as a property. I usually keep that in the rents account because those funds are not mine, and I'm using it in the event of emergency. I just make sure that my accounting says beginning balance is whatever that reserve is. So they know that money's always there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you the secrets. Yes and no. I'm not going in the property. Yeah. Exactly. And we'll go over this a little bit more. That's why most managers will have in their contract what's called a not supposed to maintenance reserve, but the maintenance cap. I'm allowed to spend anything under $500. So long as the repair is under $500, I don't even buy it. So that's something you want to have in your maintenance. Now, above $500, yes, this is going to cost us several thousand or $700, $800. I'm asking for the money up front before I even send anybody out. So that's another tip. Don't just go and do work if you know that owners don't have the money. He says, yeah, I'm ready to start on this rehab. It's $10,000. Send me at least 8, and then we'll get started. Because if you do the work, and there's no money in their account for the ledger, you got to take that out of your operating account and put it in the rents account, and then go back and pay yourself. No, I don't have time. All right. So as a manager, you want to understand your roles and responsibilities. Always have to remind some property managers: the client is your owner, the tenant is your customer. And I know Missouri is one of the few states, but there is no dual representation. So somebody in this transaction is not being represented, depending on the market. So you want to understand that you have a management agreement with that owner, and you want to understand what their objectives are. Typically, there's 2 types of owners: accidental and intentional. Accidental is the owners that did not intend to be a landlord, but they have to do it because the property was inherited, the flip didn't work out. The property's not selling in this current market because they're upside down in any way they get the mortgage cover, or they're a military family, they have to leave for a couple years. Intentional landlords are the ones that are intentionally buying to buy and hold. However, with those, you want to definitely know what their objectives are, because you'll find some that are just milking the property, meaning I'm buying it, do a little bit of work, and then refi, flip out, and go to the next, leaving you with the property. So that's why you understand what their objectives, what are they trying to do. You also have to be attentive to the property and the residents. Meaning, what does this property need? And what do I need from the tenant, or what does the tenant need to stay in this property? Because you're managing the cash flow of the property. So during COVID, we found that a lot of people lost their jobs. Somewhere out there in Tennessee land, it's people are saying that owners make money off evictions. No, they don't. They lose thousands. So why are property managers not doing what they can to keep people in the unit? So they don't have the policies and systems in place. Like Emmy said earlier, with her properties in Vegas, she came up with a flex rent program. Flex rent programs, you're going to see a lot of those because we want to keep the tenant in the unit. We don't want to evict these people. So tell them about the rental resources. Tell them about the counseling services. Create leases that are flexible with how they get paid. So if everybody was getting unemployment once a week, why not have an addendum every time you get paid, I get paid? Give me something so that you can stay here. But if you don't do nothing, I'm putting you out. Yeah. There's too much money. Like I believe, was it 4 billion they released in rental assistance? There's no reason people getting evicted in jail. That's way too much money for people to be able to stay in their unit. And you can negotiate some of these things. Yeah. Paperwork and real conversations. Some of these property managers or some of these landlords are have certain political beliefs that I don't want to go into any contract with the government. So I'm better off just putting them out.
But
It's really just so they do ask a lot. They want a W-9 from the owner. They want you to forgive some of the late fees. Yeah, they want to see the full tenant's ledger, and some landlords don't even have that. They don't have a ledger for these tenants, so they can't produce the paperwork.
But if you have a property management, a professional property management, that is a service that a property management within this time. So like landlords to do that
Yes. Yes, that is actually mandatory for the property manager to have that information. That's part of your bookkeeping and accounting. So if you are collecting $10,000 a month in rent, how do you know from which tenant? That's what that ledger is from. Smaller properties. So when I got started, I used spreadsheets. So I didn't have that many. Ask Bitwise to build one for you. But what we did when we started growing, I wanted a software that allowed me to access information mobile. Because I'm not sitting behind a desk managing these properties. When I'm out of the park, I need to be able to place work orders, sign lease, do everything. So I'm using Buildium. Yeah, Buildium is a popular one. Appfolio, Rent Manager. If you do a Google search for the best property management software, you'll get at least 100 of them. So you have to know what type of services you need and then go from there. Now I can tell you that typically within a few years of management, you're going to switch management systems a couple of times. So just be mindful what you have now, work from that, and then switch over when you're ready or you need to add the extra services. But I can tell you with at least for sure Buildium and Appfolio are the top two for this level of property management. When you go up, that's when you got the property where the yard is one side. Buildium. And of course, managing your risk and liabilities, going back to those policies. All right, management contract. Not going to delve too deep into this, but it is the blueprint of your company. Because when you're accepting clients, they need to know how you operate. When rent comes in, when do they get their check? When can they expect a check? How are you deducting expenses from it? Compensation and fees. Don't hide the fees from them. Now, I can tell you, secret property management, we all know owners don't really read the full contract. You don't read all 6, 7, 8 pages. I know owners don't. So my fees are in there. I'm just going to tell you, refer to section this, refer to section that, when you see that fee pop up in your statement. You already because some, especially the intentional owners, they're thinking, oh, you know, she only charges this a month for a management. This is good. I can do whatever. They can. So when, for my contract, when you decide to have your own contractor go in and do the work, and I have to go back and do it, I have to mark that up because we have to fix what they fix and then go back and fix it right. So I had to hire my own contractor. I just had to mark that up a little bit. Of course, the basic stuff on the contract, address, who the parties, who's all involved. Indemnification clause, hold harmless. You don't own the property, but the tenant only knows you. So when they sue you. Typically, when they're going to court for whatever. Typical case always gets sued for all the time. It's funny if you go and Google, look at Google reviews, and I'll have a story about that later. You'll see the first comment of my many of one star. Security deposit lawsuits. Number one lawsuit always. Yeah. I'm prepared. I'm ready. You know, it's no big deal. Because if it gets to that point, I know I'm in. But you need to be able to. You need to have that in your contract so your owner understands you're not held responsible for what happens with the property. You're not the owner. So when I go and have to represent you in court regarding security deposit, don't be surprised when you see that lawyer fee on there. And it's also why I asked, make sure I am listed as additional insured on your insurance. Because when we have a claim where they throw off the steps and broke the leg, I need to be able to call your insurance company and mine. Because you hired another contract counsel. Level representation, limited power of attorney. At what level do you make decisions versus when the owner has to make decisions? So that's going back to that maintenance repair. Anything under 500, I do. If I have an owner that's complaining about $100 or even $90 repair, clearly you can do it better than me. So you want this back. Another big one is the disparagement clause. Owner relationships go south, especially when it comes to money. Repairs. When we terminate this, don't go badmouth me. Don't go badmouth me because it was mutual, right? Don't go badmouth me to everybody. Don't go on Google review and put this long. I had to check one of my owners. We need to delete that before we get hit with my lawyer. Because it was mutual. If I'm letting somebody go, it's mutual. We're just not working out. We can't see eye to eye. That's why when I have my contracts, when your contracts always have a start and end date. My contracts have start and end dates, but in my termination clause, which is next, I have no problem letting you go if it's mutual. 30 days, that's all I need. So I probably already packed stuff up. Because you can tell in advance. And then of course the maintenance and repairs. So in my contract, there's maintenance, repairs, and there's capital expenditures. And we understand capital expenditures. That's the repairs that you make in the property that add value. New roofs, new furnaces, new AC units. I have a cap of 1,000 on expenditure repairs because when owner did not listen to me last winter that it's time to replace this furnace, and we're in new winter and that furnace goes out, and I can find somebody to put it in for $750. I'm not calling you and asking you because I told you then. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's -20 outside. These people don't have a furnace. I told you last year this time to replace this. And during the summer, you log a gag. You're trying to buy more property. You didn't listen. So here we are. Or hot water tanks. I know somebody put a hot water tank in for $750, right? Where I am. So I'm doing it because it's under 1,000. But I told you. Lease agreements. Everybody's name is on it. I recommend that you put, again, understand your local laws, owner's name, tenant's name, your name as the manager. Don't put your stuff as the landlord or property owner. You're on there as the rep. Because again, if they come to sue, put your lease, that's the name. You need to go on this. Use of premises. I don't know how many people, certain communities run daycares out their house. That's an insurance issue. That's, they need to make sure that they are operating legally, have insurance, and is listing you and the owner as additional insured when they're running their business. If something happens to a child on that property, that parent has the right to sue everybody. So use of premises. Security deposits is a big one. Every state has different rules on security deposits. In the state of Missouri, I can do twice the rent. Kansas, I can only do one. So what are your rules of security deposits? And then real quick, there's a new company, they're fairly new, they're gaining traction, Rhino. As we move in towards more people cannot afford rentals, there is a company that is doing security deposit insurance. Well, instead of having to pay the $1,000, $1,200 up front with insurance and deposit, they're giving these tenants a policy that covers whatever the law requires in your state for insurance. And all they have to do is pay a small monthly fee. So you sign up, $7, $8 a month, you move out, I can go in, do my inspection, submit a claim, that owner now has $1,200. As opposed to the tenant can't move if they can't pay it up front. Or, having to do the whole, still follow your normal security deposit requirements of sending the itemized list, but that money's coming in 48 days. Instead of just sitting in the account, and it limits your liability on having an escrow account. I don't take deposits, Everybody got signed up for this program. Rhino, RHINO, Rhino. This only was popular in the large apartment complexes where they're seeing the need in these smaller units with the single family house and the duplex and stuff. So they are creating, they've had this policy they're creating, or they have created, and it's online, it's a dashboard. You literally go into your dashboard, send the tenant a link to sign up for this policy. You get notified about the policy, you're on as additional insured with the owner, and they can move in. Correct. Yep. At that point in time, you're still covered.
Oh,
All they said, all the tenant has to do is make 1 month payment. They stop paying after that, you're still covered. Because typically if they stop paying in, they stop paying you. So they know it's coming soon. And then the statute of fraud, everything has to be in writing. So if you're still using, which will go, if you're still using your person, traditional leasing agent person, and they promise them, we're gonna replace all these windows, for borrow those windows, and that wasn't in writing. So don't make any agreements with your tenants. That's in writing. That include promises to pay. So during COVID, when you had the special programs for people that promise to pay is not in writing, you can't, it's not fine. Other things to add, lead-based paint addendum, we talked about, mold addendums, bed bug addendums, crime-free, drug-free housing. I'm still seeing landlords not having their tenants sign this. This is basically, what I like about this is it basically says, if you commit a crime that was nowhere near my property, but you a fugitive, I terminate your lease. Because you brought that to the community, you brought that home. Waive the right to a jury trial. I don't want to be in a jury amongst my peers or your peers when it comes to a housing situation. So we have to go to trial because we're still not in agreement of you actually being rightfully evicted. I'm going to automatically lose because, like they say, landlords are like used car salesmen. We're the bad guys. So if we can't mutually agree, we're not going to trial. We're not doing that. So we're going to mediate until we figure out something. Release of liability. This one is more so for any event something happens on the property and the tenant tries to go after you. So for instance, a murder happens on the property or somebody, robs their unit or something like that, they can't hold you responsible for that. So it's something we have in your lease. And then sale of premises, waiver of internment. Basically what this says is when that property is sold, remember on the lease, it has that landlord's information on there. When that property is sold, it has a new landlord. If that's not in there, that new landlord can't enforce that lease. They have to get them to sign another one. If you can get them to sign another one. All right, vendor agreements. Risk of using licensed or unlicensed, we know about those. Also in your vendor agreements, make sure you have your fees and pay schedules. I want to know up front what you're charging me to change out a wax renewal toilet. That way, when I get the bill 3 months from now, it's not a surprise, because it should still be the same. Code of conduct is a big one. Because they are in that property, although they're their own company, they're still representing you. So don't go in the property without knocking. Don't use nobody else's tool. I don't even want you to use the toilet. Just leave. Because the complaints we get, he didn't clean up after himself. They moved this. They broke this. It was in my policy, sir. You got to take care of that. And of course, the liabilities, Megan's Law, which is sex offenders. Make sure whoever you're using to fix stuff in your property is not a sex offender, or subbing out the sex offender. So they're in properties with tenants in them. Some important things to add with your vendor agreement: lien release, waiver of mechanical lien on the property. He got mad at you, you got mad at him, and he think he just stole lien. No, you didn't even do the work. You didn't finish it. So no, you can't put it. W-9, of course, we mentioned warranty of the work. I had a situation with vendor, and just inside information. Unless the vendor is your husband, you're gonna go through a vendor every 2 years. You can massage those relationships all you want, but they all get comfortable. So don't get comfortable with me. We have this agreements in place for a reason. So vendor got comfortable, was charging all these extra fees to do simple stuff. And when it came time for him for warranty a hot water tank he put in a year ago, he took his sweet little time. Or less than a year ago. We just put that hot water tank in 6 months ago, had to replace it, and he charged me $950 for it. I know somebody doing it for $750. But took a sweet little time, now he's cut off. He was making at least $100,000 a year off of me. I'm gonna write off. Confidentiality, non-disclosure. Don't go in these 10-inch units to do work and then point something else out. Or tell them, or such and such don't really own this, or this owner don't really like paying for stuff. That's not your place to tell that to them. You do the work and you leave. Non-compete, non-solicitation. I've had people that used to work for me go and start their own management company, using my stuff, trying to use my vendors. And I've had vendors go behind me to the owner and start doing work directly for them. Throw me my money. Non-compete 1 year. You can't do any work on any of these properties for at least 1 year after we terminate our agreement. So Bill DM and NARCM have a really good relationship in the sense that they do the research and the data for the future of property management. And the quotes here that I want people to understand is that property management is moving more towards asset management, because some of these investors out here do not know what they're doing. They're getting these properties with the sense of, I want to do this for retirement, but don't understand what that looks like. Like, just because the unit brings in 725 doesn't mean you're getting 725. And you have to plan for your capital expenditures. Roofs don't last forever. Hot water tanks don't last forever. How are you putting that in there? So you need to be able to tell these owners when it's time to buy, when it's time to sell, and when it's time to replace something. And if that property is not making them enough money, that's when you tell them it's time to sell. We need to be mindful of that in the future of property management. All right, the money. How we make money in property management. Management fees. You can do percentages or flat rates. Typically those that are doing flat rates, they also have other fees. I'm actually seeing more of the big corporate property management companies doing flat rates. Just know that if the information is online inside the tip, if the property management company has the information online, what they charge, that's not really what they charge. That's to weed out the people that don't. Because if you look at it and say that's expensive, okay, then I'm not going to do it.
So the percentage right now during the moratorium, when I was doing property management back in 2010, it was a percentage of the rent collected. But during the moratorium, when you're not collecting the rent, you have all of them, several people not paying. How are you compensated for your effort.
What is your manager gonna say?
I mean, because you're not collecting anything, but it's not your fault that you're not collecting anything. Are you still responsible for following through with that contract and managing the property for them?
If that is in your contract. That's in your contract. So our contract will say certain percentage and or a flat rate. If the property is vacant, flat rate. If it's not producing any income, flat rate.
Okay.
Or if it's not getting anything, I don't manage it.
Okay.
So here's the information. I'll let you know when the moratorium is over so that we can proceed and get them out. I'm gonna need this much money up front because how much it's gonna cost to do eviction. And then from there we'll figure out what to do.
So kind of like let them have it. There's no money.
If that's how you want it. Yeah. And typically on properties like that, that's why again you want to have a strategy on what type of clients you take. That's usually a property that's renting under $600 a month. And so I'm not really making a whole lot on it. And that owner only has one property. That's why now I don't take owners with just one property. You have to have a minimum of 5. Because out of the 5, at least the other 4 or 3 is still cash. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's or per door. So per door. Yeah. Yeah. Leasing fees. It takes money to lease units. It costs to lease units. You should be charging a leasing fee. Whatever you charge, you can do whatever. But percentages wise, typically the rate is between 8 to 10. I can tell you when I first started, I was at 6 and got up to like 250 doors. So obviously I was way too low. That's why I quickly dropped because I was like, I'm raising my fees. Leasing fees still to this day, even though I'm automating it, I still charge the full rent. So if the unit is $1,500 a month, I want $1,500 leasing commission because it takes work to lease these units. On top of that, I spent money to make sure my leases and my documents are legit, and I'm signing that for you. You're going to get access to these documents, so compensate me for that. Setup fees. You get an owner that has 50 doors. You have to stop what you're doing to get that owner set up in your systems. And we're not even going to talk about the transfer because not all property management companies run the same. So I got to look at that manager's lease, figure out what information, hope that they even give me the information. Come to find out, they don't even have keys for the property. They don't even have the right tenant's information in there. That's not even the tenant that's living there. If they're Section 8, they don't have the contract or they don't want to give me the contract. So I need conversation for setups to get you transferred. Early termination fee or sale of property. This is also a particular profit center. Hey, owner, whenever you decide to sell, I can list it for you and I'll do it just for 3 instead of 6. Or you decide to sell the property, whatever reason. Our agreement was for a 1-year contract, and this wasn't mutual. And of course, maintenance management. Again, like I said, property management, maintenance management, 2 separate companies. Markups. Doesn't recommend markups. Now, insider tip. So usually property managers do it 2 different ways. Typically on your maintenance side, you have one contractor that you're using for everything. Imagine trying to manage multiple contractors. There's no way. HVAC, roofer, handyman that does toilets, handyman that does doorknobs, handyman that does makeup. You're not doing all that. One contractor does everything. And then typically you have an agreement with that contractor that says, because I'm giving you all this work, I want to take 10% off of all your invoices. Because I'm keeping that. So when you're using that one contractor, he's giving you a bunch of invoices for properties. I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm not accounts payable or receivable. I have to hire somebody to do that. So that's why I charge that markup. And then also being able to remember when they did a job last year, 6 months ago, if they didn't warranty. It might have to be managing that process. Tenant fees. You can't make money off tenants. Parking fee. If you have a small complex where 4 or 5 spaces, but it's like 2 per unit, we got now charge $25 for parking. So I'm not arguing with you on there's not enough parking spaces here, and it's not enough on the street. So $25 for the parking, and here's your tag. Late fees. You can keep those for yourself, or you can divide them up with your owner, whatever you want to do. There's some owners that keep the late fees. Because again, the owner has in their mind, oh, they should make $725. So if you get a late fee on top of that, you're not expecting, that's bonus. But why can't I, the property manager, keep it? Because I'm still making sure your money's coming in, even if it is late. Pet fees. There's some property managers doing a pet guarantee program where they'll keep the pet fee, charge a pet rent. If you're going to do that, you want to make sure that you are properly cleaning and monitoring that pet. So if they urinate all over the carpet, you're replacing that carpet. Utility fees is a big one. Most are in a situation where the utilities have to share like water or sewer. You charge that back to the tenant. Resident benefit package. If you're renting now, expect to see this in another 2 years. Because what is being pushed around the property management industry is, let's be realistic, tenants are not cutting their grass. They're not changing the filters in the furnaces. So who's responsible for doing that? If you're not going to do it, let me charge you a fee and I'll make sure a filter gets mailed to you once a month. Because you're not going to be able to go to the store and get it. Mail it to you once a month, put it in. Also in this benefit package, profit center. You trying to rent forever? We got homes you can buy. Let me put you in a credit repair program. Part of that resident benefit package. Eviction fees. I can charge an owner eviction fee and I can charge a tenant an eviction fee because I had to go to your house and post a slip on the door because you're not answering my phone or my email. You know the rent is due. So because I have to leave my office and go post this on your door, here's a fee for that. And in my lease, if we ever have to enforce the agreement of this lease, you're responsible for my attorney fees on your letter. Administrative fee. If you're charging the owner the leasing fee, you can charge the tenant administrative fee. If you're in some of the large apartment complexes, you'll see that they'll charge you an administration fee to help you prepare to get into this unit. It could be part of the lease signing. So I have somebody have to sit with you to read over this lease, coordinate with you to do the inspections, coordinate with you to make sure you get your key, make sure you have all the resources on how to move everything over, how to transfer utilities over. Some of these people are new renters, or they have so much other stuff going on that you're providing that service to them. Why not try to do it? Yeah. And then of course the application fee. Background checks aren't free. They can pay for that. And then you have the right as the property manager to keep that. Then I keep it as well. Typically my application fee, $45. I've seen as high as $50. Create a roadmap for your business. So again, you have your agreements in place, you're ready to go, you're ready to get started. Number one problem that a lot of property managers do that causes them to close up business within 2 or 3 years and quick burnout, they take everybody. I don't want everybody. Do not take everybody. Find your ideal client. If you know you're not the type of person that's gonna go to the hood and check on the property, don't manage there. Don't do it. Or if you know you're the type of person that can't deal, with the luxury class, needy type of tenants, don't do it. Don't take those clients. And usually when you make the announcement you're a new property management company, you're gonna get people beating down your doors. And typically it's the owners that's on their third property management company. So they're looking for the newest, best new property manager that don't know how this works and hope that they can get you to lease their stuff for next to nothing or manage their stuff next to nothing. They're out there, trust me. Create an operational structure that suits you. Again, I want to be mobile. I don't want to sit behind a desk. I don't want to be stuck in the office. I don't want people coming to my office. I already had a plan before COVID hit that we was getting ready to stop people from coming to my office. You don't need to come to my office to pay rent because when they get there, we're having a conversation. I don't have time for this. So thank goodwill. For me, thankfully, COVID helped me push me along to stop that because I was even hearing from other property management companies that are out there, they charge people $20 to come to the office to pay their rent. I mean, Boost Mobile Cricket charge something to pay your phone bill there. What's different with me? So I set up to where we got an online account. And retail cash payments near me, pay near me. You can go to 7-Eleven, CVS, if you're a cash person, pay right there. And it'll automatically scan into our accounts and on our ledger, automated. Offer other products and services. So you got your management, you got your leasing, home buying. Can the seller use you to purchase more properties? Yes, because I got this owner over here that don't know what they're doing, and I'm trying to convince them to sell. Because you don't know what you're doing. Wholesale it to them. Or because you know their whole portfolio, they ready to retire and move to Florida, I'll sell this whole thing for you, no problem. Or eviction moratorium, this lady owe you $10,000, not happening, sir. Let me buy it. Because I can wait to put her out. Or I'll find a way to put her out. I can't do it for you, but for me, I'll find a way to put her out. Eviction specialist is another one. I think we'll get more in the property centers. But if you guys have that book, 114 Ways to Make Money in Real Estate, eviction specialist. I mean, now's the time to become an eviction specialist if your state allows it. And all you need is a lawyer. But I'm gonna tell you, lawyers not going to these houses and posting these notices on people's doors. Who's doing that? And if you're a notary, you notarize the letter, post it on their door for that owner, and then just wait. You can charge a fee for that. And then the way you can structure your contracts, you can, especially if it's out of town, you can represent the owner in court when it comes to eviction. They still gotta pay the lawyer fee, but they gotta pay you a fee for those services to get that tenant out. And if you take another step further, your husband's renovation crew that can trash out the unit, have a check written to him too. Yeah. And then turn around and sell it or keep it. So that's adding the other income streams, products and services. And then the big one, quality over quantity. I never understood why property managers say, oh, I manage 300 doors. Well, I manage 500 doors. How much money are you making off each door? Because I've been there. At 250 doors, that's too much. That's a lot of people. A lot of people who are tenants, their family, your vendors, the owner's family. That's too much. And then your staff. I haven't mentioned you got to manage staff for that. But I'm not doing all that myself. No. So quality over quantity. I'd rather have 100 doors and can still make as much as somebody with 350 because of all my other profit centers. Streamlining, basically finding ways to automate, make sure you're utilizing your management systems and knowing when to outsource. Automation is a big one. Again, if you know somebody that can create an app for you to get it done, do it. I automate leasing. I don't show units anymore. I don't use individual leasing agents anymore. I replaced the job that got me started in real estate with lockboxes on the door. Yeah. And that's where it's moving more and more towards. Rently, Show Mojo, Tenant Turner. Because it's so many people out here renting. You're not about to go show nobody $600. I was before, not now. And then the application process. The application process is online now too. You feel like everything else online. How come you can't do the application online? Now, mindful of ADA. Mindful of ADA, you still need to have a printed copy available. Somebody doesn't have online access. Rent collections. Remember I said nobody come to my office anymore for rent collections. Pay it online or go to a partner realtor. Retail store. Communications. Everything must be in writing. So why are you calling me for this work order? It's even your lease. Your work order needs to be submitted in writing. Go onto your system, place it online, and create your work order online. That way it's in writing, and I know exactly what it was, and it's timestamped when you told me it happened. And then also too, I don't want to hear in court, you didn't tell me that I was behind my rent. You have a lease that says when the rent is due. And then you receive multiple notices from us because here's a list of how many times we emailed you about you. And then documentation management. Again, I want to be mobile. So I want to be able to pull up somebody's lease, somebody's ledger from wherever I am. So if you have a management system that allows that to store that for you or use a Dropbox or whatever you create, You can do that. Outsourcing your activities. I have one property manager that actually is my mentor, the property manager, has helped me to really grow. He's been in Kansas City 30 years. He's actually a legacy. His daddy's on the company. Lost 3 employees this week. Manages 500 stores. So now he's looking at virtual assistants. And they're a company, one called Hire Smart Employees, property management assistants that are being designed to understand and know property management. They know it is a tough industry to find people that actually want to do it. And these people were $6 an hour, $8 an hour, $1,500 for the month, full time. They can essentially run your company, being an assistant. Inspections, you can outsource inspections or evaluation on the property. So you got a relationship with your contractor. Hey, can you go out and do an inspection of the property, make sure it's leaking, it's broken. Before they move in, make sure you do the move-in inspection, make sure smoke detectors are working, doorknobs work, all the keys work on every door, that kind of thing. Eviction process, you can outsource with your eviction specialist. Staff training, you want to outsource that. I know in the apartment world they use Grace Hill, but there's so many opportunities for training. Business development, that's another big one that we're starting to see more of those big corporate managers doing or hiring for. And most likely they're hiring active real estate agents to go out and find me more business. You guys know who, or agents know who own the properties. You're selling these properties to these investors. Why not get paid again from referral or giving them to a property? Policies and procedures, again, importance of having that is so you know when to hire, when to automate, when to outsource, being able to manage your risk and keep consistent performance with all your clients and customers. Policies, difference between policy and procedure, the what and the how. Going back to that fair housing situation and what we're seeing with COVID and the people doing the eviction moratorium is the way these policies are written. So number one, rent is due on the 1st each day, late fee assessed on the 6th. She get paid on appointment. Should that be written like that? Or can you add a subset policy? So your policy should always be a living document. What we've done, for instance, is change our policy that says eviction. Used to be everybody's doing eviction is filed on the 15th day of the month because it takes so long to do it. No, we file eviction if you are 30 days late and or owe us over $1,000. Because what I don't want to do is put the person out that's paying me $550 a month that's only 2 months behind when they could just go to an agency and go with the money and get 3 months ahead. Or when it's always due on the 1st. No, it's not. So if you take quick math problem, $600 times 12 versus $600 times 20, no, $300 times 26. 26 is the number of weeks bi-weekly in a year. There'll be like a whole $600 difference between that number. So you make more when you're flexible with your rents instead of saying the whole amount is due on the 1st. People don't operate like that anymore. When you get your check, give me a check. Put it in their heads like that so they remember. So every time I get paid my $1,000 bi-weekly check, I got to at least give her 3. And your policies, your how-tos, this is more important for your staff training and your virtual assistants. They need to know exactly how to do that process of entering that rents or how to communicate with tenants, things like that. Okay, so again, from the Narcoland Building 2020 State of Property Management Industry, in order to be a really good property manager, you need to be able to balance the goals and objectives of your investor owners with the needs of our tenants and calculate intentional growth that maximizes revenue while keeping us customer focused. That's a lot. That is a lot, and there's no way I'm doing all that for just a management. No way. Not happening. All right, this is a bonus one. You will find this in kind of future boot camp, whatever. How to secure your clients. Number one way to secure a client is the only way I've ever used is referrals. My marketing budget is well under $2,000 for the year. Everybody knows me as a lady that do Section 8. Send me your Section 8 properties. And then that owner knows the owner that's ready to invest in Kansas City. Last year, all my transactions done off market. Just switching them between owners. And even more so this year, I'm doing the same thing because one owner still has a lady in the unit that ain't paid. A new owner from Vegas is like, Kansas City is hot right now. You're right. I got a property. I'll give it to you for 50. Seller only wanted it for 40. Exactly.
Are you wholesaling or are you listing it?
It's not hitting the market.
It's not hitting the market, so I'm not listing it.
Okay.
Yeah, not listing it. And then what's unique with us is we have the real estate house, which is a brokerage that participates in MLS. Trey KC, we are a real estate brokers. We're not MLS. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And if your state, which, right, if your state, which most states do, allow you to have multiple broker license.
They allow you to have multiple brokerage licenses. You can use
Another place, your network. I got 60 properties from an eviction lawyer once, or I'm still managing now. Title companies, people doing those 1031 exchanges need a property manager. People doing self-directed IRAs have to have a third-party property manager. Wholesalers, when they sell their property to their end buyer, they know they're going to use it for a tenant, needs a property manager referral. Other real estate agents need property management referrals. It's so many. My latest partnership on flips I got from my contractor. Mutual relationships. Your contractors don't always just work for you. Thank you. They working with these other landlords who's nickel and diming them, and like just tell them, you know what, just go with the property manager, because I maintain my vendor relationships because you get paid when I get paid. And they know that I don't have you do no work unless I know the money is there. Whereas with you as the vendor, work with that owner directly, you're taking a chance, especially if they're out of state. Build that relationship with your property manager, your networks. Number one, also thing to get a client is be responsive. Now, how many times I heard, well, you just picked up the phone, so we just go with you. Property managers are busy. We don't have time to answer the phone. But that's why I don't have tenants call, because the money is on the phone. You calling for something else. Coming in and talking, my phone ringing for somebody that, got a huge portfolio. No, my phone is for money. Bonus tips, of course, screen your owners. Again, you don't want any and everybody. I had a couple of new owners. I had one owner that bought a 6-unit building and needed somebody to lease it so he could sell it. Are you using me to be a listing agent? No, then I'm good. Not worth my time. One owner, again, I was her 4th property management company. This is the beginning, took her on. Had a big SPAC. Now I was trying to sell a property. She didn't want to listen to me on the price points. Ended up on her 3rd property management company after me. It still came back to my Google review, leave me a bad review. Now, then go to the other company, tell them nothing, because I'll let you have it. And I quickly learned that owners don't know more than you when it comes to property management, how to maintain them. They think they do, but they don't. Mm-hmm. They think they do, but they do not. And I will quickly let you go if you continue to argue. It's not worth it. I know what I'm doing. I know my market. And then, as I mentioned, self-directed IRAs. We had talked about, or Eddie talked about people with 401ks with money that's not doing anything. So they're, learning ways to, I guess now with COVID, they switched to LLC, but some of them have self-directed IRAs that they have to use a property management company for. So do you know any custodian companies that handle self-directed IRAs? And do they know you and what you do? And the title companies, do they know you? foreclosure lawyers. I had one that came to me actually a couple months ago. I've never even heard of this law firm, but the owner called me from Australia. So using the WhatsApp, saying such a law firm referred you to me. Regarding need somebody to help manage this foreclosure. So that's eviction specialist. This is my fee. Because from the previous situation with evictions, I know the charge,
Right.
how much I need to charge, because it could be a dangerous situation. Do we have any questions so far? Well, bonus tip, I've been pushed to do this forever. The property management boot camp is now available online on Patreon. It is available for the price right now at $199. I do plan to increase that later with the amount of information to get. Those that was in the boot camps before, it's a lot more detailed information. 6 courses, in-depth course videos. You get digital downloads of examples of agreements, contracts, and information you need to know. I'm also offering a 30-minute consultation with that as well. So when you're ready to get started on starting your property management company and you have some questions, go ahead and schedule your appointment. And then while supplies last, if you have not gotten that 114 ways to make money in real estate, I do have copies I'm giving away to the first 10 people that sign up for the course. Anybody have any questions?
Not 30 minutes, but beyond 30 minute consultation.
Yeah.
You do offer.
Yes, you. Contract work. I'm just gonna get the property management going. I can, I will. Just reach out. Yeah. Well, I thank you guys so much. Greatly appreciate it.